All right. We are back for another week of NFL recap. Big Dog, Little Dog, at Tross Dog here. My co-host at Alatross joining us. At Alatross, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great. I'm excited to be back here. We're similar to the Manning cast. We kind of just show up, and sometimes we don't. Am I right?
They really do, dude. Do they have a schedule or what? Do they just
I
show
don't.
up
They
whenever,
do. They
man?
do. They're coming back after Christmas break,
Oh, they gotta take a few
so
weeks off for
January.
Christmas, huh?
Probably the last night of the year, Monday night. Or actually, there's no Monday night. I think on the week 18. Oh
Yeah,
wait,
maybe not. Maybe no. Week 18 certainly.
week 18 there is. There's
They
no
changed
Sunday
it.
night set for week 17 right or week 18 right now.
Yeah. That'll probably be Seahawks Cardinals. Cardinals fighting for that one. Seahawks fighting for that
But that's
playoff.
seven.
That'd be
Yeah.
exciting, riveting
Um,
stuff.
I'm excited. It was another good week of football. Had a decent week betting. We move.
We move. All right, let's move on then. We just watched that Rams Cardinals game. It was a pretty exciting game. It felt like the end. The Cardinals obviously had a chance to win to get that onside kick, but the Rams honestly was their best showing on prime time. I feel like in a long time, man. This whole year they've disappointed in prime time, and they really showed up today. Played a complete game, I thought. Even down a few players, they were down the right tackle, Daryl Henderson, the running back, Jalen Ramsey, and Tyler Higbee were lost today. I thought it was a great showing for them. But I also think the Cardinals were 2 plays away from winning this game. Honestly, they had that one goal line pick, and they also had that 4th and 2 DeAndre Hopkins drop, and not to mention another turnover and downs and 4th and 1. So, both these teams are pretty good, and I thought the Rams played a great game.
Yeah, I just think it shows that the front seven of the Rams is really what carries that defense. They were able to force turnovers. You saw Leonard Floyd. I mean, Aaron Donald had the deflection on the interception. So two of the biggest plays in the game, and they were getting pressure on Kyler all night. He was scrambled with the sprained ankle. He didn't look as comfortable as he usually has been. However, I do think over 26.5 rushing yards. I mean, could you think of a bigger lock? Come on, betting. I mean, oh, jeez. I should have bet it. It should have been
What
so
were the
easy.
odds on that? I mean, his ankle was healthy, supposedly.
Minus 110.
You should have done it, dude.
Yeah.
That feels like an obvious lock. He probably gets it on one carry.
Um, well, I do think it was an impressive game for both teams. Obviously, that split on the year. The NFC West still beating each other, even though you might think this is there's a little bit of disparity early with two good teams and two struggling teams, but I think all these teams are good. Um, and hey, I mean, if there's any team with a real shot to have 4 teams in the playoffs, I think it's probably the AFC or the NFC West.
Yeah, agreed. The Seahawks will really need to win out. But, it was nice seeing the Rams finally show up. I do not like the Rams, but I do not like the Cardinals either. And I thought Matt Stafford played a really good game today. Cooper Kupp again shows his dominance as a receiver in the NFL. It's wild.
Yeah, I thought he was so accurate on the deep ball.
Yeah, he had a good game, and he has not played well recently. That's been
He
the
hasn't.
biggest part of their struggles. So, hopefully he has another dud next week. But he played well today, so I got to give him respect. I also thought Kyler played well for the most part. That first pick was a little fluky.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, this is big ramifications for the NFC playoffs because now the Packers claim the number 1 seed. The Rams are now only 1 game out of winning the NFC West. If the Cardinals fall over again, the Rams win out. There's a good chance the Rams could take that. And second, third, fourth seed is now way more up for grabs. So it'll be interesting to see what goes down there.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Let's jump to way back 5 days ago. We got Thursday Night Football. This was looking like it was going to be a blowout. Vikings were up 29-0 at one point, I believe. And the Steelers rallied back, almost stole it away, but then Chase Claypool got a little too excited celebrating, and they couldn't make it. One Freiermuth drop away from tying that game up almost. What are your thoughts on this game? These teams, what happened?
Well, obviously the big story out of the game was the Claypool play. I mean, I saw, heard different stories, heard it from Claypool. I understand some people were taking this side thinking like, oh, it doesn't matter, wouldn't have made a difference. I don't know. I don't like it either. I think Claypool's clearly an issue. I thought the press conference was really, really frustrating to me when he didn't take responsibility.
He like half took responsibility. He was like,
Yeah, but he blamed it on other things too.
I gotta be better, and then boo, it should have been a penalty. I gotta be better. I knew he was there, but I gotta be better. I was like, what are you doing, man? Pick a side, like defend it or
Yeah.
don't defend yourself. He was just trying to.
He's
He's just a
lost.
little immature. That's all it is.
He really is, and I think I think the Vikings are really a team that shouldn't be struggling to make the playoffs right now. I think they're talented enough. They're good enough. They've played well enough this season as a whole.
Do you remember what happened a week ago?
Yeah, I do. I do. I've also seen them beat the Packers. Okay. I think they're a talented team. And
I
think that's
agree.
pretty undeniable.
I think their talent is there. It's Kirk, it's the O line, and it's the coaching
I think the Thielen
inconsistencies.
injuries are hurting too, but I think we're back in it. I think the Vikings have a good shot to make the playoffs. Unfortunately, they won't, and the Seahawks will make the 7th seed. But it's and I'm surprised. I think Zimmer's probably done at the end of the season if they don't make the playoffs.
Well, let's talk about this real quick. Let's check out their schedule. So they got I'm pulling it up right now. They got Bears at Soldier Field. Actually, surprisingly, Kirk has not played well. Not surprisingly, I guess Soldier Field. I don't think the Vikings have won in Soldier Field in several years. Then they got the Rams after that at home. The Packers on the road and the Bears at home. I think best case they go 2 out of 2. Maybe they steal Packers, Rams, and one of the Bears. I think best case is 2 for 2, man.
Like even if they steal one of the 2 games, the Packers or the Rams, they're gonna lose to one of the Bears games.
Exactly. I think best case is 2-2.
Yeah.
I think likely case is 1-3, in which case they're not making the playoffs. 2-2, I don't think we'll get in either.
2-2,
depending on what shapes up.
9-8.
Oh, are they 7-6? I believe they're 6-7.
No, they're 6-7. So 2-2
Yeah,
to
yeah.
8-9. They're definitely not gonna make the
No, they could though. They could. They would have the tiebreaker over several other 8 and 9
yeah,
teams.
the football team would be above them.
The football team. Well, the thing is, the football team plays Eagles, and if they lose both to the Eagles are going to get in.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it's not going to be the Washington. It's either the Eagles or Washington, and then it's going to be like the Vikings, Seahawks, maybe the Panthers. The Panthers could steal it. Or not the Panthers, the Falcons, and then you have the Panthers Saints. But I don't think those teams are going to win.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a lot going on in the NFC playoff picture. Meanwhile, the AFC playoff picture is disappointing. You get a huge divisional win from the Steelers, but this team just really isn't that great, is it?
No, I mean,
how's this team won so many games? It's baffling to me.
I mean, if we just look at,
receivers are making insane catches today. Deontay Johnson looked pretty good.
You're right.
But still,
if you look at it, it's their defense that hasn't been that great this year. I think people still think they're elite. They're not elite. Dalvin Cook ran for 200 plus. This defense has shown holes several times over the course of the season. They gave up 40 points to the Chargers a couple weeks ago. It's just not the same. It's just not the same with T.J. Watt missing games. Their linebacker play has been atrocious. Devin Bush is one of the biggest busts in recent history. After the ACL injury, he's kind of fallen off the map. But let's not spend too much time on these middle of the pack teams. Let's jump to one of the morning games on Sunday. We can go to, why don't we talk about the Ravens and the Browns, 2 AFC North teams. Browns jump out to a 24-6 lead and almost lose to Tyler Huntley at the end there. Ravens recover the onside kick, have a chance to drive down and score a field goal, but end up failing. For me, the Ravens just feel like they're done. It's hard to call an 8-5 team done, but Lamar Jackson's hurt. Their whole roster is pretty hurt. They haven't played well this year. Too many one-score games, and they're starting to drop them. They're just not a great team. I just don't think it's their year.
I completely agree. I think I think coming out on the Ravens, I thought Rashad Bateman looked really good, but
Maybe next year, huh?
yeah, maybe next year. Too many injuries, tough, brutal schedule. I just don't see how the Ravens make the playoffs. And the Browns side, Baker, there's something wrong with him this year. I mean, he could not hold this lead. They got so conservative in their play calling. I mean, this should have been a stomp. This is a kind of game that the Browns win. Like they win.
So do you think what's holding him back is the injury, which we know it's been pretty bad, all the injuries, or do you think it's just his play?
I don't know. I feel like it's a combination of that and like, I think the injuries of the running backs too have been hurting him.
And the O-line injury
yeah. It's not exactly its best. You're hoping they all get healthy at the right time because the Browns probably have a good shot at making the playoffs, but I wouldn't be too confident. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Browns, it feels like their roster, 2 to 53, is really solid, and Baker Mayfield is pretty shaky right now. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the playoffs, if they make the playoffs with how tight it is. But for me, the Ravens, I think they're going to – I haven't checked the rest of their schedule. I know they got the Packers on there. I just feel like they have a good chance they don't make the playoffs this year, or a one and done, if anything. Their roster is just not in a good state with all their injuries. Any other thoughts on that game?
Not really, no.
All right, why don't we jump over to the Jaguars Titans? What is going on in Jacksonville, right, man?
I wish I could say I watched the game. I didn't.
Neither did I. I won't lie.
No, but I did watch some of it. I mean, on Red Zone a little bit, and I read about it. Urban Meyer, James Robinson situation going on. Trevor Lawrence was not happy about James Robinson not being in the field. I saw the Laviska Shenault play where they slip over each other, and it's just messy in Jacksonville. Huh? It's Florida. That's the vibe I'm getting there. I think the Titans, which always seem to be Jacksonville. I don't know if it says very much about them, so I don't really want to talk about them. It seems like they're still trying to get healthy more. But the Jaguars, I think they got a lot to think about, a lot to address in the draft. We'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, there's been some reports about Urban Meyer coming out. It's hard to read into what's true, what's false, what's really happening. Clearly, it's not great over there, but we can't ignore that the players are just bad. Like, they're just making bad plays, man. Like, the receivers look disastrous out there. The O-line hasn't been good. There's just not much going good for Jacksonville. And the Titans, honestly, the kind of slacked here. I thought they could have played a lot better, could have blown this team out. They got 4 picks. We're only able to put up 20 points. It'll be interesting to see, too, with the Titans, because I feel like they've really – obviously, their roster is very depleted, injured. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of round out in January, because at this point, basically a lock to win that division. The Titans are another interesting team. It feels like you want to write them off, but maybe they get healthy and make a run in January.
Yeah, maybe. It's a scary thought that this team is still 9-4.
Yeah.
How much injuries they have had? I don't know. Scary thought.
All right, what's the next one should we jump to?
We could jump to the Cowboys and the football team. To say a lot about this game, I mean, this is a Micah Parsons dominance show. I mean, everybody coming in with the deep boy candidacy, and I'll tell you what.
You bought into that? Is it Overreaction Monday?
I'm actually going to say this is a proper reaction. Now, I still think this puts him 3rd on the list.
4th, in my opinion.
Well, 3rd in the sense of realistic voting.
Who's in front of him?
Myles Garrett and TJ Watt.
I think if Micah Parsons is in the conversation, I'd rather have Nick Bosa over him.
Okay.
And Bosa. Aaron Donald, I'd rather have over all 4 guys.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's going to get the recognition, but he had 3 sacks today. So he's
one of the yes.
He had 3 sacks and a pass defense that turned into a pick. I mean, you can't really have a better game than that than he just had.
Fatigue will not be in there.
Two holdings he drew as well. He basically dominated this game.
I agree. I think he's the best player in the league still.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same page because Micah Parsons.
I think realistically, him winning depoy is just not going to happen. So Garrett, I understand that Nick Bosa leads the league in tackles for loss. Don't get me wrong here. I know that.
I think he has the same or more sacks than Parsons as well.
13 and 14. Nick Bosa has, yeah.
I just don't see it. I think it's an overreaction. Obviously, I think Parsons is a great player. I just don't see how he's the depoy when this defense is, I think, 30th in yards per play allowed.
I don't think he's the depoy. I think he's a depoy combo.
Okay. More so than Trayvon Diggs, right?
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Okay.
I mean, if there's a Cowboy getting overhyped, I'd much rather it be Micah Parsons than Trayvon Diggs. Speaking of which, Trayvon Diggs got absolutely mossed.
Absolutely mossed.
I mean, he was in pretty decent coverage, too.
Yeah, for once he was.
And he just got, Mr. Ball Skills, huh? Mr. Ball Skills. But yeah, it's a big game for the Seattle Seahawks. I'm not going to lie here. Everybody was a Cowboys fan this weekend.
And the Cowboys almost let it slide.
Yeah.
Dude, Dak is broken. Dak is broken.
20-0?
It was 20-0, 24-0 actually. I believe they had a turnover early in the red zone and a defensive touchdown. But Dak ended up throwing 22 for 39, 211, 1 TD, 2 picks. He's been off since that Minnesota game, man. That pick 6 he had was awful.
Yeah.
I feel like it's interesting because the Cowboys' defense is what's been carrying them recently. At least to an extent, right?
Yes.
But if their offense can wake up and play like how they did early on, this team could be really scary. It just feels like one of those things that they're just not going to put it all together, and in the playoffs, one of them is going to collapse and they're going to lose.
Yeah, could be.
But it was good for all the wild card hopefuls, which is basically 15 through 1 in the or 15 through 7 in the division and the rankings. That Washington lost.
Yeah, just the Lions, not in it.
Although the Saints, Vikings, Falcons.
Yeah, it's just the Lions.
Niners won. And the Giants. I think we can write them off. They're terrible.
Yeah, maybe.
They're 4-9 at this point.
Moving on. If you feel comfortable talking about the game, I think the next one we can go to is the Raiders and the Chiefs. Two of the biggest offensive performances this year for the Chiefs have been against the Raiders.
Feels like the Chiefs' offense has only looked great against the Raiders this year.
Yeah,
they've had good moments, but
can't play the Raiders every week. You know what I mean?
And unfortunately, the Raiders aren't going to make the playoffs, so I don't know. They might actually have to step it up in the playoffs.
I agree. I'm not sure how good the Chiefs are. To me, they're not the best team in the AFC.
It's kind of like Dallas. Somehow their defense has just been stepping up and carrying them in games where their offense has sucked. I mean, even looking at the Broncos last week, the Chiefs' offense scored 16 points.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
But yeah, the Raiders kind of, I feel like this might have broken them. I don't know if that's possible, but a close loss to Washington last week, an absolute blowout by the Chiefs this week. It looks like the Raiders might start hot and not make it to 500 again. Another year of the same, eh? Some things never change.
Some things do never change.
Unfortunately. All right, anyway, that was a blowout. Chiefs are probably going to be in the top 5 this week after winning 5 straight. And, they got the talent. So let's move on to another boring game of the morning slate. We've got the Saints blowing out the Jets 30-9. Saints finally end their – I guess they ended it prior, but, get another win. No. They just ended their 5-game losing streak by beating the Jets. The sorry Jets. Zach Wilson was 19 for 42, 202 yards. Taysom Hill had a 40-yard touchdown. I don't know if this says anything about either team. I think the Saints are still garbage, and I think the Jets are just complete garbage. And Zach Wilson, hopefully he shows something soon, because I don't know. If I was a Jets fan, I wouldn't be very happy. They've been cheering so much about the Seahawks' demise, but your franchise is in a much worse place. I tell you that right now. Your defensive coach you hired is leading this defense to the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL. So,
yeah, this game was just baloney, wasn't it? Like, who cares? The Saints are. Taysom Hill's not a quarterback in the NFL. I think everybody knows that. I mean, it's just he's a runner. He's a runner. He's a good one, but he's a runner.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be too scared of the Saints making a playoff push. I think they're probably on the season 7-10, or hope like if they're at their best, I think probably like 8-9. But the Jets are just a mess.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams are a mess. They really don't have much of a future. Even if the Saints squeak into the playoffs, they're one and done. On that point, actually, let's jump to the Falcons and Panthers. I want to say I'm looking at the NFC teams, and I feel like as just a natural rooting fan of good football, the three wild cards you want to see here are between so the Rams. The Rams get one. We'll give them the Rams one, and then the last two are between three teams: Niners, Seahawks, Vikings. I just feel like none of these other teams will even put up like an interesting game. I guess it's writing off Washington a little bit because the Seahawks did just lose to them, but I mean you could point to like 7 easy passes that Russell Wilson missed in that game that could have turned the tides, and they were a 2-point conversion away from going to OT. I don't know. Do you disagree? Like, what team between the Falcons, Panthers, Washington, who's the other one? Saints. Like, do any of these teams interest you in the playoffs? They're just gonna get blown out instantly.
Yeah, probably. I think the Eagles would be maybe interesting to watch.
Oh, the Eagles. That's the other one I forgot about. Yeah, the Eagles are interesting. I agree. I think their defense is not good. But they played better with Hurts recently.
I think they've been an interesting team for sure.
I agree. I don't know if they win. I guess what I'm saying with Minnesota, Seahawks, Niners, I think you have reasonable chance that those guys could upset one of the teams, upper seeds. I just don't see like any of the other teams really beating one of the group of the Cardinals, the Cowboys, or the Buccaneers, or the Packers. I'm not that those three teams, Seahawks, Rams, Seahawks, Niners, Vikings, can, but all three of those teams have beat one of those. Or I guess the Seahawks, I don't know if the Seahawks have, but the Vikings beat the Packers, Niners beat the Rams, Seahawks hung with the Rams. I guess not so much the Packers. Oh, they did hang with the Packers, actually. Russell Wilson's finger was still probably broken, to be honest. Actually, it was definitely broken. And so is his mind. But let's jump over to this Falcons-Panthers game. Panthers are really, wheels are falling off. I think they're like, 2-8 in their last 10 games. They showed so much promise after beating the Jets, the Jaguars, and one other terrible team. But yeah, with Cam Newton back there, I don't think he's back. He's going to be back as a free agent real soon, probably. And then P.J. Walker also not looking great. I think this Panthers team is kind of just done for, and you can kind of see their defense is showing less fight than they did early on. I think it's just over for the Panthers. Falcons somehow are 6-7 with the worst DVOA ranked team in the NFL and a negative 100-point differential, and are 1 game out of 500 and 1 game out of the playoffs. But they managed to win. I don't know how.
Well, they're actually in the playoffs, but not in a tiebreaker. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Especially the Panthers. Cam Newton.
Cam Newton really played well that one game against the. He played well. He played well in that Cardinals game where they dominated the Cardinals without Cole McCoy, and then he played decent in the next game.
Against the football team.
Yeah, and they lost. And yeah, I mean, Darnold. Honestly, Darnold's probably better than what Cam Newton's doing right now. I won't lie.
No.
What are you talking about? Cam Newton is like. Cam Newton's completion rate is probably like 40%.
Sam Darnold's the worst quarterback.
Cam Newton was 15 for 23 and a pick. I guess that's probably Darnold, but he's not look good, man. I think the other day Cam Newton was like 5 for 23.
Moving on. Next game, we got the Seahawks versus the Texans. Now, what a performance, man!
Are you saying that? Are you talking about Rashad Penny right there?
I'm talking about the whole team. Dwayne Eskridge with the block. Look at the counter, the fake end around. I love it. I just love it. I love it. I love it, dude. People were calling for Ken Norton's head in the first 2 drives.
Yeah, the first drive was ugly, man. The defense was asleep. Oh my god, it was hard to watch.
Oh, dude, Quandre Diggs is an animal.
He could have had 2 picks that game. Not gonna lie.
He could have.
He could have had 2 picks that game. Not gonna lie. What I want to say, actually, since we're talking about the Seahawks and our feelings, I did not feel great about that game literally until like we scored that touchdown to go up 2 scores. Dude, it was 19-13 for too long, man. I knew they were going to win, but it did not feel like great until we scored that second touchdown. Who was it? Rashad Penny, right?
No, the second touchdown
no.
was Tyler Lockett.
No, it was Everett. It was Everett. Not the second touchdown. Yeah, it was Everett. Until we scored that one, I was not feeling great about the game. Like,
yeah.
But what I did like to see, I like to see Rashad Penny looking like the guy they drafted out of SDSU. I remember watching SDSU highlights after we drafted him, and that's what he did. He literally would like hit the hole downhill. He'd make 1 or 2 guys miss, and he was gone. Or he would stiff arm somebody and he was gone. And he looks so like unathletic, kind of almost, kind of chunky. He's a big boy. But even when he was running in that 50-yard touchdown, I don't know if you watched the replay, man, he was pulling away. He is a fast man. And so overall, I was impressed with him. I was impressed with the O-line, how well they blocked up front. Jake Kerhan, he actually finished with an 88 run grade. He was pretty bad in pass pro. He got beat by Jacob Martin a few times. But for an undrafted rookie in his, second start, to dominate the run game, that's always exciting. And then Russ looked back to his normal self. Pete Carroll said today on the morning show that Russ was hurt. His finger was still hurting the last couple of weeks, and I think, this is like the 8-week timeline. We're seeing him get back to what we expect. He's making the throws. It'll be interesting to see where this team goes. See if they can, if they beat that Washington team last week or 2 weeks ago, they're in the playoffs right now. It's crazy, but they are. So, just a lot of regrets and wishes for the Seahawks season. They could have went differently this year. But I think they put up a solid performance against the Texans, and I think they're the best 5-8 team out there by far.
I agree. I think there might be the only competent 5-8 team. But, this is great. I love the game. I just liked the Seahawks winning by multiple scores. I liked winning. I think maybe. And
it's nice to see the Seahawks go back-to-back weeks scoring 30 points for like 6 games there, 7 games. They could not do anything on offense.
Back-to-back wins, dude. You love to see it.
It's the first winning streak for the Seahawks this year, actually. Even early on, they went 1-1, 2-2.
And next week, my guess is it's going to be neon green all up in SoFi Stadium.
I don't know if they can wear it again. Can they?
No, I'm just talking about just the whole stands. Blue and neon.
Yeah, if I wasn't on a trip that week, I would heavily consider going to that game. Heavily consider going.
I think everybody should buy tickets.
Yeah, any 12s out there in LA? Go run that stadium. Go run that stadium.
This is our town.
Go
Our
deliver
division.
some bad pizza to Cooper Cup on Saturday night, please, would you?
Yes. Yes.
Just some temporary.
Nothing
Just leave it
serious.
out
Just
for a
throw
few
some
days.
laxatives in there and let him diarrhea everywhere.
Just make it so that he has to come out, every play basically.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go.
Talk about the afternoon games real quick.
Yeah, let's jump in.
So we had the Giants and the Chargers. It was a pretty boring game. Like you said, the 4-9 Giants. Playoff hopes are not there. Joe Judge probably on the hot seat. Could get fired at the end of the season. Daniel Jones, did he play today?
Nope, he's
No,
long-term potential
so
questions.
Jake Fromm was the starter for the Giants.
It was Mike Lennon.
Oh, he started over Jake Fromm?
Yeah, he made it through the week.
Okay.
It wouldn't have made a difference. Any of those guys, the Giants are not the team. Not this year. I don't know what they're going to do about Daniel Jones. I don't know about Joe Judge. I think the only story from this game, Justin Herbert played like a monster.
He did.
Chargers are 8-5. It's a big game coming up. I think they take the division lead. The one bet I want to say, if you're interested in the Chargers winning this week, I would, instead of betting money line at, I believe it's like plus 130, I would bet Chargers win the division at plus 200, because if they win this week, they'll basically have the division lead and only have a few games left. So I like that play. If you're in on the Chargers, bet the division plus 200.
Okay. Good to know.
And let me give you the rest of your schedule. Texans, Broncos, at Raiders. They could if you think they're gonna win this week, I'm betting that division.
All right. Moving on.
Let's move on.
Talk about another pretty relevant game. Lions Broncos. Coming off of a win, you thought the Lions were gonna have some momentum, but obviously the Broncos had something bigger to fight for. Rest in peace to Demaryius Thomas. Very sad news, passing away at the age of 33.
Rip.
Justin Simmons got the pick, gave the ball to the memorial. It's a very emotional moment in the Broncos. And hey, Broncos are 7-6. Playoff hopes are very much alive for the Broncos right now. The team that have been often written off ever since the Von Miller injury, but since then they've racked up some pretty good wins. And I don't know, maybe you think about the Broncos as a possible wild card.
There's so many teams in that 7-6 range in the AFC. Here's what I'll say: if they play the Bengals this week on the road, if they win that game, I'd imagine their playoff chances go up significantly, and they might be able to pull it off. I think you got to be at least 10-7 to make the playoffs though in the AFC this year, and I'm skeptical they can make it there.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, want to say Lions. I think they were down 20% of their players between flu, COVID this past week. So, unfortunately, I bet them before knowing that, so I took an L right there. But had I known that, I would not have bet them.
Good to know. The next game is probably the best game of the week, one of the most interesting for sure. Niners-Bengals. It's frustrating, as a Seahawks fan, I was cheering for the Bengals. How do you not throw the ball, Zach Taylor? How do you not throw the ball? Joe Burrow was dicing him up in the fourth quarter. How do you not throw the ball in overtime? On the 26-yard line, how do you not make a pass attempt?
I'm pretty sure they did.
With Joe Burrow? No.
You're talking about in overtime?
In overtime, when they got the ball at 26.
Oh, was it 3rd and 4 or something? No, they drove they drove pretty far, I thought.
Yeah, but when they had the ball at 3rd and 6, or the 1st and 10 on like the 26, they didn't pass the entire time.
Did not know that. Yeah, Joe Burrow was lights out in that comeback. But the Niners were dominating that game for most of it, and then
They were.
it was a Burrow and Chase show in the last 3 minutes. That was electric. I guess the last 10 minutes. I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel about both these teams. The Niners, it was a good win for them. I was hoping they'd lose for the Seahawks purposes, but Jimmy G actually had a good drive down there. I'm glad Niners coaches and fans still think he's the guy because he's not the guy. The Bengals had a prime opportunity to claim number 1 seed in the AFC North, and they slipped up, and they're fighting for their playoff chances right now.
Yeah, I really just don't know about these Bengals team, man. It's just really hard to tell what's going on with them.
Yeah, they've been wishy-washy. I thought they showed a good fight, but they shouldn't have been so far down in the first place. In my opinion, they're still a year early from their rebuild. I mean, you got to think about it. They drafted Jamar Chase number 1 overall a year ago. Yeah, I guess true. 2 years ago. But I think next year they're definitely playoff contenders, serious playoff contenders. They need to refine that O-line a little bit, but they're close.
Yeah, moving on, I think you got second overtime game. It's kind of a similar situation. The Bucs dominated the game. Leonard Fournette was running all over the Bills. But then it kind of just slowed down. The Bills, they went down the field fast. They scored fast, and they made it a game. Got into overtime.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people were arguing the Bucs got some iffy calls. The PI that didn't go their way, and then the PI that did. I don't know. I think the Bucs deserve to win the game. I think they were the better team. Brashad
Perriman.
Ghost Hands Perriman with the touchdown, 58-yarder. Looked eerily similar to Demaryius Thomas' touchdown with the Tim Tebow at the Jets, but you love to see it.
The Bills were getting dominated in that first half, and I really want to commend Josh Allen, who I've been not the biggest fan, just not the biggest believer in his ability. I thought he fought hard that game. I don't know if you watched, but he was clearly gimping out, but he was doing all he could to win that game. The O-line was not helping him at all. And as you said, the refs didn't give him great calls. But I think it's obvious the Buccaneers are the better team. The Bills at 7-6 have playoff odds have fallen to 66% from almost 90 early in the season. I think it's looking like the Bills are going to be a wild card team, and we'll see. We'll see if they can pull off an upset. The Buccaneers still Super Bowl favorites in the NFC. I think they're still Super Bowl favorites overall. It's going to be hard to bet against them. But that brings us to the next game, Bears-Packers. Bears show some life, but it was all false. Special teams touchdown, some end-around touchdown, a 50-yard slant touchdown. There wasn't anything sustainable about their offense that day. Justin Fields isn't it yet. And the Packers win. Aaron Rodgers dominates. 4 touchdowns, 341. So I want to ask you, who do you think is better, the Packers or the Buccaneers?
I think the MVP candidate, Aaron Rodgers, and the Green Bay Packers are the better team. I've been riding the Packers bandwagons, been riding the discount double check. I just think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL. I really do. Man. We talked about it the other week. Thought it was crazy.
Well, I watched the Seahawks defense kind of lock him up. And I will say he played a good game.
Also locked up Davis Mills this week. They're an elite defense. They locked up Taylor Heineke. Defense has been solid.
Yeah, you're right. The defense isn't terrible. Not as bad as everyone thinks. But, I don't know about the MVP. I don't know if that's just the woke mob cheering for Aaron Rodgers to win the MVP. But personally, it's hard. I just feel like the Packers are setting themselves up for another disappointing NFC Championship game. I think it's going to be against the Bucs, and I think they're going to lose.
I think it's going to be against the Seahawks, and I think they're going to lose.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Because Aaron Rodgers is immunized from going to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's a little immunized from going to the Super Bowl.
Took the vaccine after the 2011 Super Bowl win, huh? He's immunized. I know.
It's like 10 years ago. It's like statute of limitations. You know what I mean? Like, the NFC Championship game has his number.
It does. It's a nice day in 2015 too. Packers fans. Packers fans.
I know. I was seeing like a bunch of video. I saw Tay Adams today tweet out, "When has it ever worked? Doing the discount double check." All I could think about was John Ryan. John Ryan after he threw that touchdown
That fake
on
punt,
the fake
baby.
field goal.
Or fake field goal, yeah.
He threw the touch on the fake field goal. He hit that discount double check, and look who won.
Come on.
That's all I gotta say.
Hawks.
Any other thoughts on the Sunday night game?
Not really. I'm disappointed in the Bears. Come on, Bears.
I thought they could have.
This team's terrible.
For the first half, I thought they could pull it off, and their offense is so bad.
I really hope the Seahawks don't lose to the Bears.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. Like, Justin Fields is not a good player.
Dude,
He might be in the future, but he's not good right now.
We lost to some bad teams, man.
Fair. But what is the worst team we lost to with a healthy Russ? Washington?
You could argue. Okay, fair. That's just so unbelievable. Like small. There's like 4 games he's played when he's fully healthy. But okay.
I mean, so the Seahawks have had the hardest schedule by opposing offenses in the league. And I bet their schedule ranking is really well, this is before Houston, but before Houston they had a really tough schedule. I'm not to talk too much about the Seahawks. Let's talk about the power rankings this week. For me it's been NFC dominated basically the whole year, and I think I'm going to run that back. What about you?
Yeah. We're gonna see a little bit something similar for me. It's just a lot of things that I just don't know. It's hard to assess after that last night's game or today's game. I mean, how much do you drop the Cardinals? Do you put the Rams in the 5? If you put the Rams in the 5, are they better than the Cardinals? There's a lot of issues that were brought up today from that game. But I'm just gonna stick with my gut. I'm gonna stick looking ahead. Who's the best teams? 5 best teams in football. So do you want to start or should I?
Yeah, how about I go this week? Because I get some juicy ones, and it's starting off with a team that I have not put into the Power 5 yet. A team that has forcefully made me put them into the Power 5, even though I'm not quite a believer, and that is the New England Patriots. They're number 5 for me. I still think the Buffalo Bills are a better team, to be honest. I thought they would win that game in good weather situation. I thought the weather really played into the Patriots' hands. If you think about it, the Bills are not good at running the football, and they're not great at stopping the run. And that's literally all you could have done in that weather. And they almost won that game, save for some drop passes by the Bills receivers. So I think that the weather really set them up to fail in that game. And I have the Pats the 5th place because I just don't think they've really proven it against anyone. And in their one perfect game, they got good weather. Next, I'll go to the Chiefs. So, again, I haven't had the Chiefs in there for a long time. I'm not a huge Chiefs fan, but I have to respect their defense has played extraordinarily well. They've gotten some good turnovers. Chris Jones back in the center of the defense has really helped them generate pressure. Frank Clark finally making a little bit of action. Their secondary is stepping up. And their offense still isn't there yet, but they just played the Raiders and they blew them out. And obviously, they play well against the Raiders. So I got to put them in there. They're 9-4. I think they're number 1 in the AFC right now. Are they tied for? Or do they have the tiebreaker of the Chiefs? Or the Patriots? I'm not sure. I think they're number 1 in the AFC though.
Yeah, it might be the Titans actually, but
maybe the Titans. But they're fighting for that number 1 seed. They might still end up taking it. We'll see how they play against the Chargers this week. And then I'm going to run out to the Cardinals at number 3. As I mentioned in our recap earlier today of the Monday night game, I thought the Cardinals left a lot on the table. I think they beat that Rams team more often than not. So I'm going to give them the edge over the Rams. There's just a few plays that didn't go their way. I still think they've been super impressive on the road, blowing out 6 teams by 10 points on the road, or 10 points or more on the road. They've just been really sound, bottom to top, even with Colt McCoy in there. So I like how they're trending. Then I got the the Packers at number 2. And again, similar situation. The Packers have been impressive with all their injuries, managing to win games. Aaron Rodgers has played well. Their defense has been the star for them. I know they lost that one to the Vikings, but their defense is super injured. They made plays. Rasul Douglas is looking good. And they just managed to win games. So I'm putting it number 2, and with a tiny, tiny edge, I'm taking the Bucs here at number 1 over the Packers. They're 10-3. They haven't been super dominant, but last time this year, I believe they were barely a wild card team. I think they won like a 4 or 5 game win streak to make the wild card. So I think the synergy and the talent is just there that they have to be the favorites going into the playoffs and into this last month of the season. Not to mention they have tied for the best record in the NFC, so they're my number 1 team. Tom Brady is back on top.
Well, our 5s are going to be very similar. We're just going to look at different orders here. At number 5, I'm going to go for the Kansas City Chiefs at number 5. I think while they've played well, I'm not completely sold. I mean, the Raiders, you're not going to play the Raiders every week.
Absolutely.
I don't know how I feel about this receiving core as a whole outside of Tyreek Hill. And Daniel Sorensen, while he's been playing, I guess, kind of well the last couple weeks, is probably the worst starting player in the league almost. So
somehow he's still getting run. I guess maybe he's making play. I mean, he had that pick 6, but that was Teddy Bridgewater. Very questionable.
Yeah, I agree. Number 4, I'm going to go for the Bucs.
Wow.
I think this team's very good, but I think they were almost lost to the Bills. They should have put that game away better. I don't think their secondary is as good as it has been. I mean, I think Sherman had a pick. I mean, Richard Sherman shouldn't be playing that much right now. He's not. I think the secondary is weak.
It's true.
I don't know how I feel. I feel more comfortable with Antonio Brown played. We'll see. We'll really see on the Bucs. Number 3, I have the Cardinals. I think they just edge out the Bucs. Same record. I agree with you. I think they're better than the Rams. However, it's a divisional game. You know, you kind of just get some plays go for your way, some plays don't. The 4th and 2, DeAndre Hopkins. The 4th and 1 with James Carter. The pick on the goal line. I mean, those are obviously going to lose you games in divisional games. So
this is shaping up to be Patriots number 1, isn't it?
No.
All right, let's keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. Kyler Murray, I think when he's healthy, he's going to be an elite player. And at number 2, I'm going to go for the best team in the AFC, without a doubt. Coach of the Year winner, Rookie of the Year winner, Patriots, dude. I'd probably say that they're my Super Bowl favorite right now, just because of how difficult the NFC is. But I mean, Bill Belichick coached to win. He coached to win with Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris running down field.
What did he coach? He just called run plays. He didn't coach anything.
He had the balls to call a run every play on like 3rd and 10.
It's because they were winning. It's because they were winning. I guarantee if they were down, if they didn't get that long run and they were down, he was not going to keep calling runs. But when you're winning in that environment, you call runs.
Sounds like a good coach. Sounds like the Browns need to learn.
It sounds like he's a good coach, but that wasn't the reason why. You know what I mean?
Maybe J.C. Jackson, Depoy, who knows? Matthew Judon, Depoy. Ooh, I'm just talking garbage now.
Yeah, you are. Let's see your number 1 team.
Well, the number 1 team is the Green Bay Packers. They have the MVP candidate. They got Devondre Campbell, Preston Smith. I mean, this team is just pretty good, aren't they? I mean, Jair, he's been injured, but he's pretty good, you know. I think the Packers are just easily the best team in the league right now. Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the league to me. I just ride with the Pack right now, especially with Aaron Jones coming back too, healthy.
All right, well, that wraps it up. Allah's got Packers number 1. He's a big Packers Patriots fan out of nowhere. I don't understand it, but it is what it is. So
I'm just speaking factuals.
He calls it. He calls it facts, but the Packers and Patriots haven't been number 1. in a while, have they? But let's move on. Thanks for watching, everybody. Week 14 NFL recap, Week 15 power rankings, drop down. Hey, like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate it. Follow at Alatrosk on Twitter, at TrostDog on Twitter, at BigDog_Little Dawg. All right. Peace.